Good morning. Today we're gonna show you how to change the spark plugs on a Honda Civic 2013. It's a pretty straightforward job. The first step needs to use the 10mm socket to open these 4 screws. That way you can take the coil cover off, and then under these coil covers you will see the spark plugs. So we're gonna do that one by one. We want to make sure that we don't drop any of these bolts because it's going to be very difficult to find them, so be careful. I mentioned we are using a 10mm socket, and the idea here is that you can use the ratchet to loosen up these bolts, and once the bolts are loosened, you can just use your hand to take them out. That way you have a control over the speed, and you can make sure that none of these bolts fall. So one more thing that I forgot to mention is that you need a socket extension, because as you see, they're kind of deep inside and they are not in a level with the surface. So without the extension, I doubt it's gonna work. So now we are in a stage that we have opened up those 4 bolts, and we are ready to take these coil cover out. You can slowly pull each one out, and I don't think you need to disconnect this connection. Let's try to do it one at a time. So as you see, I play a little bit with this, and you see it's easily come out. So slowly we can take this out and leave them on the side. So we are gonna do this one by one, so that way we have control over the numbers, and I don't think the order matters because we are not disconnecting any wires. But as you see here, that's the spark plug right there, which we're gonna remove in the next step. So we are ready to remove the first spark plug. For that, I'm using a 5/8 of the inch spark plug socket, which I bought from the actual Advanced Auto part. The way this have magnet on it, this side, so that helps to pull up the spark plug once it's completely unscrewed from the hole. So we're gonna first start the ratchet to loosen it up, and then we're gonna take the ratchet out and continue to manually turn these to take them out. As you see, it's loosened up, and then I'm gonna continue to turn this till slowly. You just have to be careful when you try to put them back in, because you don't want to first over tighten them, and you want to make sure it fits right in. First one, as you see, the first one is out, and I think it's pretty old. This car has always over 100,000 miles on it, and I think that's the right time per Honda recommendation that you need to change the spark plugs every 100,000 miles. I decided to purchase the original Honda spark plugs, which is $49 each. It really depends on the dealership, but you can always go with the aftermarket brands as well. Now we are ready to put the new spark plug back in. And before we do that, we want to make sure we use a little bit of anti-seize, a lubricant, a little bit, to make it easier the next time we're going to remove this. So you apply a little bit of a lubricant on these threads. Needs to be a little bit, so I'm going to use a toothbrush for this, but you can find out any other way to do this lubricant. And I think at this point we're ready to put this back in. As you see, you just don't overdo it. Just a little bit of that, so it stays good for a long time. The way we're gonna do this is that, again, we're gonna use the same spark plug socket to just turn it in, put it in, and start tightening up. And once we can't do it anymore with the hand, we use the ratchet to just tighten up a little bit. We just want to make sure we don't over tighten, because it's going to ruin the engine. So the first spark plug is in. You're gonna just put back the actual coil cover and continue the same approach for the rest of the plugs. we're done here. We put the coils back and we tighten up the screws. I went ahead and applied a little bit of anti-seize to ease off the screws because it was a little bit corroded. I think the next step would be to turn on the car and make sure everything works smoothly. As I said, this is a pretty straightforward, easy job, and you're gonna save a little bit of money doing it yourself. Have a good one.